Hello and welcome to lesson 8 of IELTS Speaking Marathon with me, Rima. Thank you for being with me and taking part in this marathon. So today we are going to talk about social issues and we will discuss speaking part 3 today. So first of all, let's see what is speaking part 3 of IELTS speaking test. So first of all, in the part 3 of the speaking test, the examiner will ask further questions which are connected to the topic discussed in part 2. For example, if the topic was the weather, so probably you will be asked in part 3 to talk about either about the weather conditions, climate, and so on. Also, this part will give you an opportunity to talk about more abstract issues and ideas. So again, it could be like the question, what is the climate in your country? How has the climate changed? And so on. So just abstract things. And this is a two-way discussion with the examiner. What does it mean two-way discussion with the examiner? It means that the examiner can ask you the questions not just only from his list, but also some extra ones if he sees that this is something that you're interested in, you can talk about. It's just like discussion as if you're talking to your friend. And this part lasts only 4 or 5 minutes, so if you're stopped, don't worry that just like something is wrong happening. No, not because of this. Just they have very strict time limit here. And what are we expected to do? So in this part, there is like a range of questions that are somehow similar to each other, but just topic is different. Well, let's see. For example, what is the difference between major crime and minor crime? So in this, for this question, you're supposed to give a comparison in your answer. So you will compare the major crime and a minor crime. Let's look at the next one. How will climate change that affects people's life? So in this one, you have to speculate, or in other words, predict what's going to happen in the future. Do you think all criminals should go to prison? So in this, for this question, you need to give an opinion or either agree or disagree. Sometimes the question could be like, do you agree that? But mostly there, do you think? The next one, why do so many people move to live in the cities? Well, for this question, you need to explain, or in other words, give a reason why people move to live in the cities. What can be done to alleviate poverty? So in this case, you need to suggest or recommend the solutions. And what social problems are there in your country? It means that in this case, you need to talk about your personal experience. You will talk in general what social problems we have in Kazakhstan. And I would say that all questions will start in this way, but just topic is different, and your idea is to do this in the answer. It doesn't really matter what topic it is. For example, it could be what's the difference between their houses in the past and present. How have houses changed in recent 10 years, for example, or in recent years? Do you think that people will live in the same houses like they do now? Why do people prefer living in a flat rather than in a houses? What kind of houses do people prefer to live in? Or do people want in your country live in a houses or in a flats? So these are just the same idea, and if you get this idea, any questions could be really easy to answer. And let's see what kind of functional language can help us to do that. And here they are. So when you're asked to compare, just use these phrases. Like, there are many differences. For example, the question is, what's the difference between major crime and minor crime? You would start your answer. There are many differences. For example, or if there is only one difference, so you would say the main difference is. Or you can say, The major crimes are very serious ones, for example, the murder, and so on, while their minor crimes, these are petty crimes, like shoplifting and so on. So you see how we use these phrases. If you ask to compare the past and present, you need to use these phrases, like how have the houses changed over the recent years. So you could say, 10 years ago, people used to live in this kind of houses. Nowadays, they live in such kind of houses, or they tend to live in such kind of houses. So remember that we need to use present tenses if we talk about present simple and present, and also we try to use tend to here. So as for the future, if you're asked to talk about like what do you think will happen in the future, how will this change, if you hear such questions, use these phrases like it might be that, it could be that, if this happened it will do this, I think in the future it will definitely change, or it definitely won't change, and so on. So try to use these phrases in speculation answers. And let's see how we can use, or what kind of language we can use when we give reasons or when we explain. So for example, why do so many people move to live in the cities? Well, I think it's because, or I think there are several reasons for this, and then you just name. Or the main reason for this is unemployment. If you're asked to agree or disagree, do you think all criminals should go to prison? Oh, you can say absolutely, and then you continue, you give an argument. Or you can use I think, I really believe, I suppose, in my opinion. In my opinion, not all people should go to the prison because, and then you just explain why. And please pay attention to this. It's really significant thing. Once you understand what kind of question is that, it's easy to use the functional language. Now let's move to the social issues vocabulary. I've tried to choose the main ones because the amount of vocabulary is huge. And I've just chosen the most important, like famine, starvation, hunger synonyms, civil wars, refugees. For example, nowadays there is a great number of refugees coming from Syria. So refugees, it means people who leave the country where the civil war happens. A high rate of unemployment, clearly, like when we don't have job. Homelessness, when people don't have homes. Poverty, for poor people, this is a noun, poverty. So it's good to use not just poverty, but you can use it with adjectives like global poverty, extreme poverty, like for example Africa is experiencing extreme poverty nowadays. Economic crisis or financial crisis, these are synonyms. Racism, gender discrimination, or a synonym of it is sexual discrimination. Drug and alcohol abuse, this is the word for drug and alcohol addiction. Crime rate, scarce resources or a scarcity of resources, which means a shortage of resources. So the word shortage, synonym for scarce. Nice word to remember because this is, I think, C1, C1 level vocabulary. You can use it, for example, water, scarcity, scarce water, a scarcity of water. So you see, it's like another word for lack of or shortage of. Okay, and now let's move, and I want to focus today on how to answer the questions that are connected to explanations, just given the causes and predicting the consequences of something. So the phrases that you can use, I just try to choose the important ones: result from, be caused by, lead to, and resulting. What is technique here? And that's really, really essential. You know why? Because part 3 is a kind of academic part. It's really similar to writing task 2. And if you just say, for example, famine and homelessness results from civil wars, this is too overgeneralized. It's not always like that. We just suppose that it could be one of it, and you would avoid overgeneralization if you use modal verbs like might, may, can, could, and add to these verbs. And it's called hedging. It means that you don't overgeneralize. Do the same in writing task 2. And let's see. Famine and homelessness can be caused by civil wars. So it could be one of the reasons of civil wars. Or you can say civil wars might lead to famine and homelessness. It means the consequences of civil wars. If you say civil wars leads to famine and homelessness, it's a kind of overgeneralized. It could be just some of the consequences, not just like facts. So that's why it's much better to use might lead. It's a kind of academic style. So use both, as I've said, in speaking and writing. And let's see how everything that we talked about today in one answer. So let's see in a modern answer. I think there are several reasons for this. Firstly, it's mainly caused by high unemployment rate in the rural area. For example, in Kazakhstan, a great number of companies are based in urban areas. That's why people tend to move to cities to find a job. Also, rural-urban migration may result from the lack of educational opportunities. One would move to a big city to study in major colleges or universities. You see, we use the phrases like, we try to use the functional language. I think there are several reasons for this. We also used like these course markers, firstly, secondly, for example. We used the way how we can talk about causes and consequences, mainly caused by, and we gave an example. We used the words like rural urban migration, educational opportunities. We used the word tend to, which we studied before, and also we used would. You see, so everything that we've covered so far can be applied for this answer. And the last thing that I would like to focus on is just the revision of grammar structure that we studied previously, as well as the pronunciation. One thing to emphasize. Let's see. I've listened to your answers. Some of you tried to use the there to with comparatives. And we usually, by this one, we usually show that there is a correlation between different things. For example, the more roads there are, the more people use their cars. As a rule, the better educated you are, the more you can earn. It seems as if the harder I try, the less success I have. Obviously, the stronger the economy is, the less unemployment there is, and the higher the standards of living. So this grammar is really nice for speaking part 3, like especially if you want to show the correlation between two things. And the last thing is pronunciation. I've taught you before, and I've told that N and R are weak forms and usually don't really pronounce, and we don't draw attention to it. But we can do that if we want to emphasize the contrast, like especially for and. Like we use and to draw attention to the different ideas. So you have two different ideas and you want to emphasize the contrast. And we can use stress or to emphasize that it's impossible for both ideas in a sentence to be true together. And let's see, I want to switch on their native speakers pronunciation here because they do that in a really nice way. Let's listen.
They told her, you either have kids or you can get promoted. They told her, you either have kids or you can get promoted.
I mean, they can have a career and a family. I mean, they can have a career and a family.
You see how it was so well emphasized that it's really nice to hear, listen. So try to do that. It's great if you can use it, especially in speaking part 3. So thank you very much. Do your home task